we did that for about a month, and then I had 28 treatments of radiation. And the concern again was how much damage would be done to my skin and what would we be able to do in terms of an implant afterwards. And after the radiation, we continued to expand, and then we waited for a few months to let my skin settle down and my body to heal. And so a year ago this month, so 15 months into this whole ordeal, which was supposed to be a 3-month ordeal, month 15, we put the implants in, and that was an amazing day for me. It really was. About 4 or 5 months later, we did we had another surgery to kind of change things and little touch-ups, I guess, touch-up surgery. And I had another surgery in November, so we're on 6 surgeries so far. And I'm hoping maybe in the spring will be my last surgery. So it'll be 7 surgeries from start to finish, which again was not what I went into this thinking was going to happen.
Well, what kind of advice would you give to someone? Now, I know the United States Preventive Task Force is kind of throwing mammography into the air, and also support for all the research needed for breast cancer.
Well, I just encourage all my friends to have mammograms as soon as they can. I have friends who are 50 and still haven't had one. And I try to, on Facebook even, during the month of October, put it out there and do whatever I can to let people know that this is important, that they need to have early detection.
And then in terms of cancer fundraising, what kinds of things happen in Ventura County or move through Ventura County?
Right. Well, what I'm involved in is the Avon Walk. And I participated in that in September. The walk was in Long Beach. This September, it will be in Santa Barbara. So I'm really excited about it. It's September 11th and 12th, that weekend. And my birthday is September 11th. So it's a really great way for me to celebrate my birthday, that I'm alive, by doing the walk.
Are there planning meetings for these things? How can people support leading up to it? And are there merchants? Can they help in some way?
Well, specifically for the Avon Walk, they can go to Avon has a webpage. It's avonwalk.org. If anyone wants to participate in that particular walk, they are actually having a planning meeting January 30th at the Hyatt in Westlake. So I will be attending that meeting.
Well, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Also, there's the wellness community in Westlake Village, and they also have a satellite office, I believe, in Ventura. And that's a great place for support, information, and I've used their services.
Well, tell me more about the wellness community.
Well, the wellness community offers services to all types of cancer patients, men, women. It's free. They have discussion groups, they have support groups, they have sometimes comedy nights. Sometimes they just have dinners, just kind of rap sessions. There's something going on all the time there, or you could just drop in as well. And so I've gone to several of their events. They do fundraising as well. I haven't participated in that though.
And how about the impact on your family? I take care of children with cancer, and suddenly all the attention is on one child, and the other ones kind of disappear, and your work disappears, your life disappears. And
well, I have my parents live in Oxnard, and my sister and her husband and their 4 children live in Oxnard. And one of my biggest supporters was my niece. At the time I was diagnosed, she was 4. And there's always concern, how much do you tell a child about cancer? But she was a trooper. I mean, she saw me when my hair fell out. Actually, she went with me to buy my wig. She went with me to chemo, all 12 sessions. And where I went to chemo, no children are allowed in the waiting room, and you can't bring friends or family into the treatment room. So she and my mom would sit in the car for 5 to 6 hours every Friday while I went to chemo. And the first time my niece saw me without a towel on, I was a little nervous about her seeing me, and she took it all in stride, and she was just she was so great. She was so helpful. And as a side note, about 2 months ago, her hair was down to her waist, and she decided to cut it off to donate it for wigs for people with cancer. 6-year-old making that decision.
What a sweet person.
Yeah.
And we have the St. Baldrick's Day as a local fundraiser, and people can certainly get involved in that in terms of raising money for children's cancer. Right. How did this go for your mom? I mean, just, I have a 27-year-old, and she's getting married, thank you. And so our children are our children forever. You're 80 years old, your 60-year-old is still your child.
It was devastating for my mother. she would tell me repeatedly that she would trade places with me if she could. You know, especially when my hair fell out. Again, that was one of the hardest days for me. And you know, she did everything she could to always keep me in good spirits and take care of me. You know, after each round of chemotherapy, I'd stay with my parents for the weekend and just kind of have her baby me and
tuck you in,
yeah,
and warm up the sheets, and
yes,
and do all those things. Well,
exactly.
how comforting.
Yes.
Well, in terms of advice that you would give to other people about getting through this, so you brought your family around you, you have a niece, and the wellness community sounds like another one. These social workers, what did they do? And you were on the other side finally,
right.
and so trying to find funding and emotional support. And
I was really fortunate. I didn't miss a day of work. Except for my surgeries, I worked every day of chemotherapy, which I know was very unusual. But I think that's one of the reasons I did so well, was because I kept my regular lifestyle going on. I worked every day, I still went out with my friends, all my usual activities. And my friends and family were just amazed that I could have such a regular lifestyle. I just didn't have hair anymore. But other than that, that was probably the biggest change for me. Was I was now wearing a wig and false eyelashes, and I looked physically a little bit different, but emotionally for me it was important just to keep a typical lifestyle. And also, the more information I knew, the better. My doctors were always amazed how much medical information I knew about cancer and how I could understand all the articles. But I was pre-med when I was in college, so I think that helped, having that science background.
We worry some about cyberchondria, where people go to different places, so we'll make certain that our audience knows the places that you recommend and really have good information about cancer. So you never talked to a social worker yourself, though?
No.
It's like a doctor. I don't go to the doctor very often, and so in terms of, did the wellness community, were you able to talk about your emotions and feelings and sad and mad, and who'd you end up being mad at? Glad?
It was surprising to me how easy this was to go through, which I know sounds ridiculous and crazy, but I went to one or two support groups. I just didn't find them for myself very supportive. I think because I met women who really didn't know a whole lot about their cancer, and that was frustrating to me, that I knew so much and they didn't, and they weren't that interested, which is fine. For me, I needed to be around people who were more uplifting. And so I didn't use the support groups. I relied on talking to friends and family. But definitely for some people, support groups are the way to go. And that's why I'm so glad that they do have the wellness community. I'm glad they have those resources. Just for me, it wasn't really useful.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and letting us walk a little along your journey. Ventura, you've heard about resources. You're going to know more about breast cancer. You know that breast reconstruction is just as important as the chemotherapy and radiation. So Ventura, if you don't know about what you need to know, it's time to get moving. We'll see you later. Thank you.